my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite podcast. If you're listening, tuning in, watching on the day that this drops, it is Monday, June 16th. Welcome to the middle of June. Also, if I haven't said it on previous episodes, happy Pride Month. We're being gay. Hooray. I don't know if I said it on previous episodes, so again, happy Pride Month. Today, we are talking about narrative warfare, which is a term that I heard on an Instagram reel this past weekend. And I honestly think that it just applies to so much when it comes to how humans respond to things, what resonates with people, whether it's socially, politically, colloquially, whatever. So I want to riff on that. But first, you know how the drill. We do little life updates, a little biz updates, and then we'll hop into the meat and potatoes or the tofu and whatever side it is if you are vegan. So life updates. I am sick. Weep womp. I'm feeling better, but I picked up something either going to Vegas, coming from Vegas, in Vegas. I don't really know. But we went last week. Coach Steven invited Lex and myself to go see the Kenny Chesney concert with him and Ailani at the Sphere. Steven actually got sick, didn't go to the concert. So perhaps I got it from Ailani. I don't know if Ailani's sick, but either way, Steven didn't go. And I was like, Steven, rally. Like, just figure it out, just go. But he didn't go. But Lex, me, and Lex, Nilani, and I went to the concert, and it was very cool. I've been to the Sphere before. If you're from the East Coast, in the Jersey area, and you've ever been to the Liberty Science Center, that's what the Sphere is like on the inside. It's literally the same as the IMAX that they had there. But the outside of the Sphere, which is the coolest part in my opinion. But obviously from the concert perspective, you're inside the Sphere. And I think it's really cool because it makes it so there's no bad seats. Like, you know, in certain concerts, you're like, I can't fucking see anything. They have like literally the screen is so big and they have the videos put there and you're like, wow, there's literally no bad seats. I wasn't even really looking at the stage, and we were in like the 100 levels. We had good seats, but I like wasn't looking at the stage. I was just watching the Sphere. So I didn't get sick or anything like that. So, or I didn't get like nauseous, I should say, because I did get sick. As for this sickness, I have been drowning it, and I think it's working, right? So doing all the fluids, tea like crazy. I'm a believer in red light. Been doing that. Baths, yes. Sleep, number one thing, sleep. Breathe X pills. I actually been using ChatGPT. I'd be like, here's my symptoms. What are some natural remedies or ingredients I should be looking for? So I have two different kinds of teas that I'm using a lot. The first one I was using because it was like more in my nose and like in my throat, and then now it's moving to my chest. So I kind of want to get through this episode a little bit faster so that I don't cough. So I don't want to have to edit this. But if you see me drinking throughout the episode or hear me drinking, that is why. Being sick has meant some time on the couch watching TV, kind of doing work while I'm watching TV. In general, I also just like to watch TV. I usually have it on. So new shows, watch Sirens. It was weird. Watch it if you want. I watched Big Door Prize. I actually really liked it. Lex slept through the whole thing. Questionable name. And it kind of got me thinking about the utility of a name and like, or just having the name like tied into the show, because it doesn't really tie into the show, at least not yet. And it's like you kind of forget what the name of the thing is. So I would recommend it. I actually really enjoyed it. And I'm just seeing that in general, Apple TV has better quality shows than Netflix. Like we finally, we broke down, we got Apple TV, and I paid for YouTube Premium. Never say never, because I used to say, I will never get this, and I got it. But that's because they rolled out a $7.99 tier, no commercials. So if that's interesting to you, no commercials. I actually put YouTube on while I'm lifting, and the commercials kill me. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to pay for this. But make sure you buy it online and not on your phone, because when you buy it on your phone, it goes through like the Apple store and it's $10.99 a month, whereas you buy it online and it's only $7.99 a month. So speaking of lifting and volleyball, we're going great. Hopefully I get back to it this week, but they're both going amazing. And speaking of volleyball, Lex and I booked our tickets to Stade. I'm not sure if I said this last week. Time escapes me. It's hard with these episodes, but I have lots of points and decided to use them. It got a really good deal on it. It was 190,000 points for both of us round trip. It is connecting in Dulles, but we got premium seats. We didn't get the lay flats. I'm a little bit upset about that, but it would have been a lot more. And I feel like one of those couponer people. Like I was so excited. I was like, look at this fucking deal that I got. I actually bought the tickets on the flight to Vegas from my phone, right? And I'm saying this because all of you listening to this, especially if you're a millennial, you know, buying plane tickets is a big internet activity, right? You can do that shit on the computer. I prefer to do it on I have two screens in front of me. I prefer to do it on that. Never even mind using my like laptop. So to do it on my phone is like, what? But I had started searching before the day that we were leaving, because that's when Kim told us she was definitely going to be playing and going. So I had started searching, and then we had to leave, and I had found flights. And by the time I looked again at the airport, they were gone. And I was like, oh. So on the flight, I looked again, connected to the Wi-Fi, and bought them on the flight. But for those wondering about the point situation, Chase Sapphire Reserve, baby. It's a credit card that I use and recommend, and I've used it for years. I had a patient many years ago. This is like when I was in New York. Chrissy Badaloro, you know. If you don't listen to this podcast, she doesn't listen to the podcast, but I'm still going to shout you out. But she was just like, get this credit card and put everything on it. Obviously pay it off, but put everything on it. And so I've done that, and I literally have used the points on it like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. Like, I don't use them for anything. And so, mind you, I also then went and got a Chase Inc. business card. So all of the things that I buy for the business and pay for the business goes through the credit card. So I had a lot of points. I still have a lot of points left. And I was like, kind of thought in my head that like maybe one day I use it for a trip, but like I really don't have the travel bug. I traveled a lot for work growing, I don't say growing up, but in my earlier years. But this trip came up, and it was kind of just like YOLO. And so I'm really excited about it. We're leaving June 30th, and then we'll be back July 8th. My brother's coming in with his girlfriend, Carly. They're going to watch the Moose and Rupert. So I'm excited. But I will also link in the show notes my referral links, I guess they're called, for those credit cards. Because if you go through that link, you can get extra points, and I can get extra points. We all win. So those will be in the show notes. Again, the cards are the Chase Sapphire Reserve and the Chase Inc. The Reserve does have a high annual fee, but it's offset by like it puts money towards any travel that you may be doing, and I personally think it's worth it. If you don't, that's fine. If you travel, it's also worth it because of Priority Pass. But either way, going to Stade, that's in Switzerland. We'll be staying with Kim and her husband and their Kim's volleyball partner. And then another team, which is wild because I started playing volleyball 5 years ago. And next month, I will be sharing a house in Switzerland with 2 professional volleyball teams, which is kind of like, what? Like, no, Lex and I are not playing, but it's still like, oh, that's like a pretty cool fucking thing. So yeah, those are the life updates. The work updates. Pride swag. Jesus fucking Christ. I am so behind on it. The sickness threw a wrench in it. But just keep your eyes out on it. I am working on it. It will get done. We need pride swag. We need visibility. Fuck Trump. Fuck ICE. All this shit that's going on. But I just gotta get it done. Press Publish, which is my 8-week group coaching program that I have that helps people launch their first podcast. It's going fucking great. Like the first call was amazing. With the second call today, the crew is the day that I'm recording it. The crew is amazing. I put off doing this for years, and I'm really glad that I'm doing it. Like I just didn't want to do it before, and I'm really, really glad that I'm doing it. So I will very likely run a second round of this. So I'll get on the interest list probably sometime this fall. No obligation, obviously, if you add your name to the interest list. I will also say that I will probably run the intensive one more time, the Instagram intensive, and then be done. I had someone reach out who listens to the podcast, and she was like, hey, are you running it again? What are you thinking in the time frame wise? And I told her, I was like, I think I'm going to run it one last time. And she was like, I could feel this. She's like, I listen to your podcast. If it's you who's reached out, thank you. It really made my day. But she was just like, I feel a big shift coming. I listen to the podcast, and it is coming, and it will likely be, in the ChatGPT direction, AI direction, or maybe something else, but AI is definitely the front runner. So basically that means that you have 3 interest lists that we're going to drop in the chat. Thank you, Courtney. Not in the chat. Wow. Drop in the show notes. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Joe. That'll be the interest list for Press Publish, the podcast program. Lots of P's. That'll be the interest list for the final round of the Instagram intensive. And that'll be the interest list for the ChatGPT program, whatever that ends up being that I decide to do with it. Again, when you go on an interest list, there's 0 obligation to actually sign up or register. It's just so that you don't miss the announcements and the information about it, right? So, quick drink. All of that is going to be in the show notes. Thank you. The segue here into the main topic of today is that one of the members in Press Publish is looking to use their podcast as a tool to help people during these absolutely fucking wild times. And I fucking love that. When I'm speaking about wild times, specifically in the United States, at the time I'm recording this, it's Tuesday, June 10th. Yesterday, Trump called in fuck that guy, man. Fuck that fucking guy. He called in the National Guard and the Marines to LA because he's a lying piece of shit. And in response, a guy that I follow on Instagram, the Conscious Lee, we'll link all this stuff in the show notes. He's George Lee Jr. He shared a reel from a guy named Justin Scott who goes by this.cypher on Instagram. And that is what prompted this episode. Right? In that reel, he's talking about, Justin is talking about what he calls narrative warfare. And the reel is just really good. We will link that. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Joe. And it got me thinking, and I was like, yeah, I kind of want to riff on this. Right? So in the reel, Justin speaks about the need for what he calls narrative warfare, which is basically that the best storyteller wins. And honestly, he's not wrong. Like any of you that have been in any kind of marketing for any kind of time, you understand this. All right? When I say marketing, this could even be like looking to convince your kids to do something. The best storyteller wins, right? He's not advocating, and I'm not advocating for making things up or lying. Fuck Trump, right? But he is making the 100% correct point that how the story is told determines how the story is received, which determines the outcome of the situation. Right? It is very easy for the media to spin shit, and that's what they do. Right? If it bleeds, it leads. One of my favorite quotes is from Money with Katie. One of my favorite quotes about media is from Money with Katie. And she loosely said, mainstream media isn't left or right, it's corporate. Yes. The stories get spun so that the corporations and the billionaires who run those corporations and own those corporations make more money. They don't give a fuck about the rest of us. Right? So when it comes to these narratives, we can and need to get ahead of it. And what's cool is that we can. Right? We have social media, we have email marketing, we have our own platforms, we have our boots on the ground, we have ability to track those boots on the ground and see and record. Like everyone has a phone or whatever tool that makes sense for you to be using if you're going to the protests, right? We have trust with each other, we have voices, we have connection with each other. Right? We can actually get ahead of this. We can actually perform our own narrative warfare. Of note, as it relates to the fuckery that's going on currently in LA and that will likely pop up in other places, right? The instigation. Justin correctly says, don't take the bait. Meaning don't give people a story that's easy to spin. Right? He talks about the camera is pointed at you and it is a weapon that can be used against you or a weapon you can take back. Right? And I want to just take a moment there to say that the frustration, the anger, the rage that people are feeling, it is justified. Absolutely justified. So I don't want to brush it off and be like, don't take the bait. It's so easy. People's families are literally getting ripped apart. Right? You're justified. People are justified to be angry and to have rage and to want to act out. If that is not you, if you are in a position where it's much easier to maintain this level of calm, don't take the fucking bait. Right? Which brings up the point, why are there protests going on at all? That's the story that we need to be promoting and pushing. Right? That's the narrative warfare we need to be performing. Giving airtime to the cause of things, not just the response. Again, it's important for me to say that if people are angry, they are justified. People are literally being fucking abducted and deported. It is unacceptable. Rage is 100% justified. I don't want my words of don't take the bait, his words as well, to come off as downplaying the reality of the situation. Right? Damage to property is not worse than what's happening to these people and these families. Right? Rage is justified. Disruption is justified. The goal, however, is for as many of us as possible to make moves that directly accomplish our goal. Right? But circling back, zooming out, what Justin is talking about is messaging and marketing 101. I don't really want to say this. I don't really say this as a business lesson, though feel free to take it as that. Right? I want this episode to largely be hey, here's how stuff works and can affect you. Do with it what you will. Right? At the end of the day, the best story wins. As it relates to you, think about that. Have you done your own research on things, or are you just letting the best story win? relating to anything, right? It doesn't have to be political if you're like, I'm tired of that right now. Like, okay, good privilege. But like relating to anything, is it just the best story or doing your own research with things? As it relates to what you say, what you believe in, what you're trying to promote and push and spread, are you telling the best story? Best, meaning it should be true. Don't make shit up. Is it what people care about? Are you saying it in a way that people can actually understand? Are you using it, promoting it, sharing it in a way that people can actually easily share with other people? What about frequency and repetition? That's huge. I just had a call about this. Coaching call. Repetition matters. Even think of something like style, fashion. It's just about volume, right? Things come back in and out of fashion because it's like just marketers start putting that shit on a lot. And you see it and you're like, oh, like now I have familiarity and I see it and I kind of like it. All right? I think it's called like that Bader-Meinhof effect. Same for totally this. The idea just went right out of my head. The example just went right out of my head because I'm sitting here. I'm like, I don't want to cough. But things like fashion, where it's just like we see it enough times and suddenly you're like, okay, that's accepted and that's the thing now. It's all about repetition. So this thing that you're pushing, the things that you're promoting, the thing that you care about, how often are you talking about it? How many different places are you talking about it? How many different ways are you talking about it? How many times have you talked about it? That shit matters, right? And obviously with storytelling, do you have things to back it up? Do you have visuals, things that people can easily understand, different mediums for people to be able to see and view, interpret it, and internalize things? So again, I am not here to say that it's right or wrong, that the best story wins. I'm not here to say that it's good or bad that the best story wins. I'm here to say that it is a fact that the best story wins. And you are free to do with that information what you will. All right, I'm going to cut it here. My voice, I've made it to the episode without coughing. My voice is going though. But do not forget, all of those links are in the show notes. Definitely go check them out. And definitely go check out that reel, especially because it's bars. It's a really good reel. All right, as always, endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. Until next time, friends, Maestro.